Here is the 2-2 pitch. Swung on. A little roll over on the right side. Brandon Weaver has it. His throw to first. It's time. Ball game over. The Tigers are state champions. An unbelievable comeback victory. The Tigers have beaten the Akron Rams 15-12.
I told them that, one of our models this year is never give up. Never give up. And I told them that they have a coach who's not going to give up on them. And I told them that, I'm not going to let you give up. So we had to take some pitches. We had to, try and work the count a little bit, get guys on base some way, somehow. And we strung a few clutch hits together, got guys on with a walk here and there, sacrifice bunt turning into a hit. It was just great. It was an awesome comeback. It's unreal. It's what it is. It's unreal.
John Beltran back with you at 8:19. Of course, that was Pat O'Rourke on the call last week as the Wiggins Tigers defeated the Akron Rams for the 2A title. You just heard Wiggins head coach Josh Langford very emotional after the game, as now there'll be 3 more state titles determined today. And, of course, experience has a lot to do with it. Josh, you had 6 seniors on the team. Now, let me ask you, because obviously coaching Wiggins, it's the smaller school in 2A, and you have a limited talent pool. Now with the 6 seniors gone and trying to maintain or even just get a dynasty going with a Wiggins program, how difficult is it as opposed to maybe a 3A, a 4A, or 5A school to establish that type of program because you have fewer players to choose from?
Big deal, especially in the lower classifications. It's going to be tough next year. We do have 4 juniors who started this year, and they'll be our main guys. But, after that, it's going to be tough. There's going to be 6 other guys that have some big shoes to fill, and we're probably going to do that with sophomores and freshmen. I don't have a whole lot of sophomores this year that are going to be juniors that are going to probably, be able to contribute too much. So we're going to have both ends of the spectrum, some seniors and then some really green young guys. So they're going to have to get after it this summer and make some headways for us to be successful next spring.
Now, in a way, obviously, it was a challenge for your team to get to the state championship and win the state championship, and you were expected to do lots of good things because of all those seniors. But now with the younger players coming up, is this more of a challenge for you? Is this what coaching is all about, simply because now maybe you're not as expected next year as you were this year to get as far?
Sure. I think it's tough both ways. When the pressure's on, when you're supposed to be good, it's real tough to coach because you should win all those games. And when you don't, everyone's asking what happened, why didn't you? And then, you look at next year, the year after, people are gonna say, well, God, they're not as good as they were last year. So coaching is tough at both ends. This year wasn't easy, that's for sure. There are a lot of nail-biters in there, and our league was tough just to get through in the first place. And next year will be no different story. It's going to be tough. We're not going to have the pitching depth we've had in the past, not the dominant pitching that we've had. So next year is going to be even more of a challenge because I may not have, as skilled athletes as I have in the past.
Let me ask you this, Josh, because you talk about Legion ball coming up over the next couple of months, and there's a lot of players that are preparing for the football season, maybe even some who will work to prepare for the basketball season, which starts in December. How much of an impact does Legion ball have going into the next season? And the only reason I ask that is because there's such a huge gap between the end of Legion ball sometime in August and the beginning of the high school season, which is sometime in March.
Sure. Experience is the biggest thing. You add more innings, you add more at-bats, more times running the bases. All those things add up and make a big difference because they'll remember them when the spring comes. A lot of times you may want to put in some new things in the summertime, or you want to try some kids in different positions, or you may want to try some kids pitching who maybe don't have as much experience pitching. And the summertime is what has made Wiggins High School baseball. Having those guys come down to Fort Morgan to play in the summertime and getting them innings to pitch in the summer and at-bats has made the difference in our program. We couldn't have been where we're at without playing as many games as we do in the summertime. So it makes a big difference, and it does carry on into the next spring.
There's a lot of high school baseball coaches who know the game. They can teach the game, but what do you think is the difference between a good coach and a championship coach? Because after all, like we said, there are guys around here in Northeast Colorado. They can run these teams, but somehow they don't have the success that maybe you've had over the last few years.
I think motivating the kids to want to be there in that spot. In practice we do a lot of pressure situations where I talk about, hey, we're going to be in that state tournament here in a few weeks, and we're going to have to be able to handle the pressure. And I'll go, put some of my JV guys out on the base paths, first and second, and, no outs. Okay, guys, you're ahead by 2 runs. Let's see if you guys can handle the pressure. See if you want to be here. And I challenge the kids every day to want to be in that situation and put the pressure on them. And it's just trying to prepare the kids, I guess, for the pressure situations and really motivating them to want to be there, to want to have the ball. I talk to the kids about being a gamer. Are you going to be the guy who's going to be up at bat that's going to K, or are you going to be the guy that's going to come up with the clutch hit? I want a bunch of gamers on this team. I'll tell the guys something like that. And I think it works. I think the guys know where I'm coming from, and they know they're going to be in that spot if they want to be state champs or if they want to, move on in the postseason. So we try and put the pressure on them a little bit and prepare them, but also motivating the kids to want to succeed.
We're talking with Wiggins High School head baseball coach Josh Langford, whose team just won the 2A title last weekend in Colorado Springs, defeating Akron by a score of 15-12. Now, we talked about numbers earlier in this conversation. Do you personally have aspirations of maybe coaching at higher classifications, 3A, 4A, or even 5A, or do you not even think about that and maybe address it when you happen to cross that bridge if you do get some offers?
Sure. I'd love to go on, up in higher classifications if the opportunity comes. But right now I'm real happy with the things that these kids have accomplished out at Wiggins. And, it'd be real tough to leave because they have been real great to me, parents, fans, the administrators, and the kids. And it'd be tough to leave, but if there was an opportunity that would come up, it'd have to be a good opportunity somewhere where I would want to end up.
Well, somebody who's been very successful, obviously, is the head coach of the Eaton Reds, Jim Danley, whose team is going to be playing in their 5th consecutive title game, the 3A game, which starts in about 35 minutes against Denver Christian. Now, Eaton is located, as we all know, fairly close to Greeley. In your opinion, Josh, because they are so close to Greeley, does that create an advantage at the 3A level for Eaton in terms of acquiring the talent, or is that just an excuse that other schools might make because they are inferior to Eaton on the baseball field?
Sure. That's a tough call. Every once in a while they get a few kids who may transfer from Greeley Central or something, or, Greeley West that'll come out that way, but that doesn't happen a whole lot. Danley's just got a great program. He's a guy that, if I wanted to run a program, it'd be something that I'd model after him. Those red pinstripes all the way down when you got kids 9 years old and all the way up to when they're a senior in high school. I think you got kids there who want to wear the pinstripes, when they become older. It'd be something that would be really cool to, have here at Morgan or, even at Wiggins. I've got kids wearing the pinstripes already down low. But, he's a great coach, and year after year he finds a way to get there. And, he's a guy that does play summer baseball in the Legion ranks here, and he's just a good coach. I mean, I think it comes more from him than it does getting transfers or even being in the Greeley area, because you have schools like Highland or Roosevelt who are also in the Greeley area, and they aren't as successful as Eaton. And he's a guy that's just established himself for quite a few years now, and is also a very good coach.
Well, it's amazing. He's done a great job this year, especially this year, because everybody I talked to said that Eaton probably had their worst team in 15 years, and yet obviously he didn't have their years, and they're able to get to the state championship game. Once again, Eaton against Denver Christian starting at 9 o'clock. Now, we all know you went to high school here in Fort Morgan. Skyline is one of these Tri-Valley teams playing for the title today against Mountain View. What have you known about Skyline over the years that makes them a threat, or is this year just an aberration for them?
Yeah, I think they had a pretty good year last year as well, and they have quite a few seniors up there. I think their catcher and both their 2 pitchers are seniors, and they have a lot of leadership up there, and they've been here in the past, and we're able to do that. I know when I was in high school, it was my junior and senior year where their first years kind of back in the Tri-Valley, I guess you'd call it, and they struggled back then, and they have their ups and their downs, depending on numbers, I guess, just about like anywhere else, but they're well coached by a guy who I've coached against several times, and it'll be fun to watch them play. But you always got to root for someone from the Tri-Valley because it was a very tough league this year.
Meanwhile, Josh, in 5A, and this is a question that I want to ask you here, Grand Junction Central defeated Mullen in 17 innings, 5-4. They used 4 pitchers. It was Cherry Creek beating Golden 3-0. So Grand Junction Central and Cherry Creek will meet for the 5A title at 2:30. Does Cherry Creek have a major advantage going into this game? One, because Cherry Creek is very much like Eaton. They seem to get to the state championship game every year. And let's face it, I mean, when you get to a situation where you use 4 pitchers the day before, obviously that pitching staff's got to be a little bit depleted.
You would think so. I don't know how many innings each pitcher was able to go or not, but that's tough when you use 4 pitchers in one day and expect someone to come back and throw a great game the next day. I think it's possible. I think, Grand Junction Central does have some good pitchers. We were able to see them this winter. We went up to the Yard Academy for a showcase with Daniel Neal and Casey Miller, and we got to see 2 of their pitchers were in that showcase. And they threw the ball well. A lot of the scouts were drooling over those guys. But, Cherry Creek has seen, all sorts of pitching all year long. Everyone throws their best at them. So I see Cherry Creek having an advantage since they've been there and since they see the tough pitching all year long.
Not to pinpoint a negative, but you had your quarterfinal game against Eads, a game that you led 10-1, and you kept your starting pitcher in, Daniel Neal, and I'm sure you wanted him to throw a 10 to 15 pitch inning. It went over 30 pitches, and you won the game eventually 10-4. In a short tournament like this, which is obviously taking place this weekend and that you experienced last weekend, is that the toughest job in coaching, is managing your pitching staff? Because God knows how many games you could play, how many innings those pitchers could throw.
You bet. It's a tough call. My biggest thing is getting there first and then worrying about it later. And we did get there first, and sure, after that, I was kicking myself in the butt thinking, I should have threw someone else. Maybe just give Casey Miller an inning or, put in Jacob Beidler. But, now that it's over, I guess I wouldn't have it any other way. It's a little scary. You never know what's going to happen. Jacob Beidler does a great job of throwing strikes, and he did that against Akron. But Akron sure hit him well. I think 5 consecutive hits. So who knows? I may have done that and pulled him in, put Jacob in there, and he may give up 5 consecutive hits, and we may have a different ball game than what we had. So. You just got to get there first and worry about it, I guess, later. But after the game was over, I was kicking myself in the butt thinking, hey, I should have, saved him and let someone else finish it up. But, we got to that next stage, and, I thought Casey Miller would throw well against Kiowa, and it all worked out. So I guess I'm lucky in that aspect.
Yeah, and it worked out for Daniel Neal, who was the tournament MVP, 3 2/3 innings. He got 4 base hits, a big home run, and as we mentioned, Wiggins won the 2A title last weekend, 15-12. Well, Josh, appreciate your time. Thanks for helping us break down these 3 games today, and we hope for some great things from Wiggins in the future.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Wiggins head baseball coach Josh Langford will come back and talk Major League Baseball with Ralph Woodlick. That is next on KSIR.